You should hit record.
Hey sports fans, welcome to another exciting edition of Torah Talk. And here with Rabbi Rab, so I assume you sent the little lady off to England and everything went okay?
Well, you didn't waste any time getting to that question. Yeah, she left last week, and it was sad to see her go. But she had a limited amount of time she could spend out here.
Right.
And so I just have to be thankful that she was able to come out for the short time that she did. I mean, we knew that going in, that she was only going to be able to come here because she couldn't get a job here, and she needs a job. So couldn't happen. And you know why there's no job here?
No, tell me.
Well, I've talked about this many times, but there's no. She was looking for work that should be available to people who approach the work legally, but unfortunately, what's happened is people hire illegal legal aliens is what they're called, and there's no demand for people who are law-abiding human beings. Right. People who respect the laws of America are not hired. They're discriminated against.
Right.
And so she can't come out here, and I have to sit here alone. I'm by myself.
You've always got me, Raps.
Don't scare me. But I'm here alone, and you can thank your leadership in this country. I think it's a bipartisan fuck up that they've done nothing together to stop illegal immigration, and the result is that because she's not willing to be illegal, she can't get a job here, and she had to go back. If I were a liberal, I would just say, "Oh, stay here, and be illegal, and then we'll just give you amnesty." Oh, we spread our arms out and we take all of the illegals in, so we don't buy that liberal bullshit here. We don't play that game, right, Levy?
That's right.
Well, you're the moral leader.
Exactly.
Okay, so you go ahead. It looks like you have something to say.
Yeah, I guess you'll need to get a job to be able to support her.
Oh, I don't do the job thing. Don't say that.
How do you feel about all the immigration paperwork?
How do I feel about it?
You'd have to go through a lot of immigration paperwork to get married.
Do we?
Yeah, she's not an American citizen.
Well, she would be if she married me, wouldn't she?
Yeah, but there's a long process.
I
mean, she could be a terrorist. I mean, she looked kind of like a
but
terrorist.
But isn't you get an automatic green card or something if you marry an American? Isn't that the whole thing in the movie Green Card? I mean, isn't that what all the Israelis do?
Yeah, they've made it a lot more difficult since 9/11.
Oh, really? Because I thought all the Israelis just find, some broads here, Jewish chicks, and then the Jewish chicks just let them in and they marry them and blah, 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 and then they're in. Isn't that the way it works?
Not anymore, not since 9/11.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Why, because you looked into it? You were going to marry a French woman?
No,
Yeah, you were going to marry a French woman for $50,000. You talked about it.
I did?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. She was going to pay for your entire schooling for $50,000, and you were like, "It's just because of the schooling I'm doing."
Just for the higher education.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we forgot to talk about what we were going to talk about on the show tonight. So what are we going to talk about on the show tonight aside from the Parsha?
Well, I looked at you finally brought the Parsha up about 5 minutes ago. And I took a look at it and wrote I just jotted down some notes.
Okay,
and there's a lot of notes, so we can go into that early on and talk about it. But before we get to that, I just want to finish up the last part.
Okay.
And then I want to look at the chat room.
Okay.
So you brought up the woman I was dating last week, right? You brought that up right away, so I know it's right on your mind. Mm-hmm. So the question is it on your mind because you're thinking about me and that I'm thinking about that? Or is it because you're jealous?
I would say it's on my mind because I think it's the most significant thing that's happened to you since I've known you.
Oh, okay. You're probably right about that.
And it's the happiest that I've seen you. And not a lot going on in my life right now, so it's like, oh, Rabs has a go. That's a little bit of excitement, and I didn't really prepare anything aside from a few notes on the Parsha to talk about. So, okay. I mean, this has been the biggest deal the last two shows. So.
Oh, definitely, yeah. We and by the way, it ups the viewer tick when we have women on here.
Yeah,
you've got to start bringing in some of your patients and some of your clients. Bring them in here.
Yeah.
You work out with women there, right?
Right.
Get them on the show. We need some. I want to get an older woman and have her ride your ass about your attitude towards older women. I think that would be like the ultimate highlight clip ever of this show. I mean, it's one thing when a 19-year-old woman does it, but it's a whole other thing when like we get some 45-year-old woman in here. I think that'd be just awesome. You're probably right that's the happiest you've ever seen me. I'm gonna be honest about it. I think that it's probably the last 2 weeks while she was here was like the happiest times I've ever been. It was like she was on vacation, right? And she had nothing to do except hang out with me. So that's all we did. It's like the whole time. It was like she'd wake up, come over, and we would just hang out all day. Every single day. And, reality is life is not like that, right? Because either one person's working or the other person's working. You know what I mean? Or somebody's in school. If you look back at some of the women I've dated, high school doesn't let out till 3.
Right.
So it really worked out. And I'm serious. Even when I was engaged, for all that time, whenever there was like a school break, she had to go back to her parents. So we never had. Now that's not supposed to be so funny, but that's the truth. So we never really had a chance to like hang out, during like fun times every time. Even during the summer and stuff. She was in summer school and whatnot. So this was just really like a lot of fun for me. I just like got to hang out and she did something like even when I was engaged, my caller didn't do this for me. She took me out.
She did things for you that even your fiance didn't do for you.
That's right.
Wow, that's awesome. Isn't that great when a woman does that for you? Things that like a lot of other women.
Yeah, because like she took me out for dinner every day and everything, and spent a fortune on me, and I was just like I had the time of my fucking life for the last 2 weeks. So that's the emes on that. That's the truth. All right, let's look quickly at the chat room, and then we can start the Parsha.
Great, so you guys must really have gone to town.
We went to town and came back.
The whole Megillah.
The whole Megillah, yeah.
We're talking about Grand Slam. This was like a great 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was really amazing. Wait a second, here's some stuff. Rabs, you're too far to my...
Don't worry, that was 8 minutes ago.
Oh, am I in the thing now?
Yeah.
I'm fine now? Okay, that was 8 minutes ago. What were you doing for sound quality that Levi is not? What am I doing for sound quality that Levi is not? I have perhaps a more up-to-date...
But my computer, everything worked fine. Something happened since I moved to this new place.
This place is haunted. Somebody may have died on the internet here. Rabs, I promise in my socialist utopia, all right, we'll talk about that later. Did she have to get a job in California? Well, she didn't have to get a job in California, except I live here.
Could you move to the UK? You open to that. Move to the UK. Why don't you move to England? Sure, there's a lot of demand for Unix rabbis
in there?
In England?
I'm not totally opposed to that idea.
Yeah.
But the bigger problem is where she's living. It's be easier for firmies and stuff. It's more of a infrastructure here.
Mm-hmm.
Like a woman could get along with it. I'm going to be honest. A woman who's from can practically live anywhere because her responsibilities aren't. She doesn't need anything. She doesn't need a new pair of tefillin. She doesn't need. You know what I mean?
Right. She just needs B'dika cloths.
By herself?
Oh.
But I'm saying when a married couple, right, is going to need a lot more things. We would need a mikveh. We would need, you know what I'm saying? So you can't just be anywhere. You need to be.
You need a lot of flavored lotions. You could eat off of each other.
But you don't waste any time getting right down to the. All right. She can barely hear us anyway, so what's the difference, right? All right. So you want to start the Parsha?
Yeah, might as well.
You want to get right into it? What's the score of the game here? What's going on? I need the points to be racked up tonight, and they're not coming in.
They're not even playing right now. They're on halftime.
What's the score?
I don't know. So this week's Torah portion is Parashat Toledot, Genesis 25 to 28. So finding a maid, as you just heard from the rabbi, is no simple matter. The rabbis characterize this difficulty as being the scale of splitting the Red Sea. But finding that maid and building a successful and satisfying marriage are after two very different tasks. From this week's Torah portion, it is obvious that Yitzhak, Isaac, and Rebekah, are at cross purposes regarding the treatment due to Esau, their son. Yitzhak, Isaac, is willing to give him almost everything to attempt to save him from his own evil nature and negative course in life. So, in Hollywood movies, finding the mate is frequently...
Wait. I want to be able to comment on... I don't want to wait till you go all the way down to the bottom.
Okay.
I want to comment after each paragraph.
Okay.
So look over here if I have a comment, okay?
Okay, good.
Can I comment?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you mentioned that that the Torah tells us that shidduchim, making matches, is as difficult for the Kadosh Baruch Hu, is as difficult for God as it was, is more difficult for him than it was for him to part the Red Sea, the Sea of Reeds,
yeah.
right? So you know it's a very difficult thing to get it right, to get the right. And it says that God spends a great amount of each day trying to put together matches.
Yeah.
Torah says that, right? Yet, what do we see?
New England leads 10-3.
New England. Nevertheless, New England is still winning. This is a terrible night. Look at that, 13 points. I need 56. How many more do I need? 43 and 1/2. Okay.
How many points would you like for Susie Colbert?
I'm not attracted to her. She looks really Jewy. I'm not really into that look. Thanks for throwing me off. What the hell are we talking about? Okay, so you see how hard it is for God that He spends 1/3 of His day every day. Like He spends 8 hours a day just putting together matches.
Right.
And that's a lot of His day, right? Because He's infinite. He's above time and space. And yet He has to dedicate so much time to putting together these things. And it's more difficult for Him to come up with a match than it is for Him to just part the sea. So, but nevertheless, what do we see, Levi? You get these amateur yenta matchmakers, these headhunters. You know what a headhunter is? Like a professional headhunter. But these are amateurs. They don't know, have never been trained in it. They don't know what they're doing. They don't have das Torah. Right? They're just a couple of yentas who, went to yeshiva for the year, put a mop over their head, and suddenly they know more than God. Suddenly they know more than God because God spends all day thinking about a match. It's so difficult for Him that it's easier for Him to part the Red Sea, but it's simple for some amateur yenta. She got married, she has a mop on her head, and she knows everything. And she's going to find you the perfect person. Oh, has she got the girl for you, Levi? Oh, does she know? Right?
How come they never ever go for me? My wiki's too big.
Maybe your blog might be the first clue. But you can see that how ridiculous that the frum community has become. It's that they've allowed these yentas to be the accepted norm. And it drives me crazy. These yentas should be eliminated from the whole marriage process. My advice to everyone is stop using them. And it's not a coincidence that frum divorce is on the increase. Frum divorce is higher than it's ever been in the history of the Jewish people. And the history of the Jewish people, we never had these yenta, pathetic amateur matchmakers handling all of the, all of the shidduchim. Okay? So let's tune them out. Now, if you came to me and said, well, we go to like the neighborhood rabbi,
yeah,
I might be more inclined to be okay with that, and I'll tell you why. Because he's learned theoretically for decades in Torah. He's learned, and he thinks in das Torah. He thinks in the Dalet Amos of the Gemara. And he's seen all the families, and he knows all the things. He knows who's been naughty and who's been nice. Yeah?
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Sounded good. Okay.
Folks, you do Alexander technique, you too can sound like this.
So, what am I saying?
You're going off about yentas.
Yes! Right? So, if you had a rabbi who was the shul rabbi, family rabbi putting these things together, okay, you know what? I might be inclined to believe it. If you had two families and they were really close and they said, hey, I want to set up my son with your daughter or whatever, I might be okay. I think that's okay. But when you get some random yenta with the mop, God, why do people fall for this?
So is your objection that because she's married and she covers her hair?
No, I'm just saying that's her only qualification.
But isn't it a beautiful impulse to want to match people up?
Yeah, but it's a hold on. This is not a job for amateurs. Matchmaking is not a job for amateurs. It's so complicated that the Kadosh Baruch Hu, who has infinite wisdom, requires 8 hours a day, and it's more easy for him just to split the Red Sea. This is no place for on-the-job training. This is the kind of a job, lady. This is not for amateurs. You wouldn't go to somebody who said, well, don't they mean well? And they were going to do brain surgery on you, but they had no training and don't know what the fuck they're doing. It's not the worst thing they can do is open up your head with a saw.
But they'll invite you over for Shabbat meal and they'll invite over someone else who's age appropriate. That's the phrase they're using.
Just the fact that they do age appropriate tells you everything you know. Age appropriate is a pseudonym for this headhunter to know what the fuck they're talking about. According to age appropriate, I wouldn't be set up with the woman I'm dating right now.
No,
right?
you wouldn't.
Because it violates that headhunter's mores and social norms that have nothing to do with Torah. So right there it tells you everything you need to know. Did you know that it's brought down in the Talmud? No, it's brought down in the Rishonim. It's brought down in the Rishonim that what? It's brought down in the Rishonim that there were marriages between old men, zakanim, somebody who's old and got a white beard, with young teens, with women who were young teens, not like I'm with an older teen, but a young teen who's over 12, right? Today, what would you call that?
Good times.
No, what would people label that as?
Pedophilia?
Pedophilia. They would slander the guy, right? But the Torah says from those relationships, from those marriages, came some gigantic Talmidei Chachamim. Talmidei Chachamim came from those relationships, right? Torah has no problem with gigantic age differences, right? But some yenta with a mop on her head, she was gone to yeshiva for 10 minutes, she suddenly thinks she knows everything, and this violates her social mores. Her social mores say no. So why would you want to go to such a person? Anybody who talks about age, what'd you call that word?
Age appropriate.
That's all I need to know. This is a person is a moron who needs to be ignored. Why would you trust yourself to a complete imbecile moron?
What about Craigslist casual encounters? Is that a better place to look?
I would say that's a better place to look at than I would trust. What's it called? Craigslist. I would trust Craigslist, and you can quote me on this.
Okay.
Than a bona fide a mop head who uses the yenta, who
uses the phrase age appropriate,
and he uses the words age appropriate. You can quote my ass on that. Who's in the chat room?
So I got a question for you. I noticed this at a Shabbat meal. Why do little children start crying and pleading with their parents to stop singing? I mean, you're good with kids, so you might. The rabbi makes much of his money babysitting around Pico Robertson. Order the rabbi to babysit your kids this Moshe Shabbos, so you can go out on the town and have good times. Look up the rabbi, but I noticed these 2-year-old boys, they started pleading with their dad, stop singing, and he was singing beautifully. He was singing Shabbos Meirot, he was singing on tune, and but I remember as a kid too, I'd kind of get upset when my parents would sing. It somehow it disturbs my sense of safety or something. So, what is it about little children and their parents singing?
I have no idea, to be honest. What do you think?
I think kids more than anything need like safety and boundaries.
Okay.
And when the parents are doing something unusual, like it makes them really weird. Like I was dating this girl, and she came in, and there was her mom in bed with the neighbor, and she was like, what's going on here? It made her feel very disturbed. And then she later told me that hell is listening to your dad like buff, these Amazon shiksas in the room next door, because her parents, they were Orthodox, then they became swingers, and then they divorced. And then then she had split custody. Her parents had split custody, so she spent a lot of time with the dad. Dad really liked the tall Amazon shiksa. And so he didn't have much money, so the apartment walls were very thin. So she'd be in one room, and then her dad would be banging the bejesus, literally, because she was a shiksa. Out of this Amazon shiksa next door.
Where's the story going? Where's this, anything?
Well, yeah.
What does this have to do with my question?
It has to do with me. It robs a child of a feeling of safety if you're like bopping different people next door and the walls are very thin. So, stop doing that.
What does it have to do with the kids and the singing?
It's the same thing. The parents singing makes the kid feel unsafe.
Why would you?
Just like when you go in and you find your mother in bed with the neighbor. It makes the child feel unsafe.
Why would you mind even go to that story when the question was about the kids singing?
It's a gift. God made me this way.
All right, there's two questions that Liquid Rob asked.
Yeah.
That I thought were actual legitimate questions,
okay,
which is rare for him.
Mm-hmm.
He said, and this is a good question I want to answer. If God is putting together matches, then why do we need JDate? And the answer is because you know the answer.
Because JDate's for secular Jews, and God's only making matches for the Purim Jews.
That is not the. And JDate is actually only for Goyim now. Have you ever been on it? JDate is like half. I would say more than half of it now are people who are not Jews. More than half people who are not Jews, and it should Goya should date, and the new JDate is Frumster. Mm-hmm. What Frumster started off to be is what JDate started off to be.
Right.
No, wait, I'm saying that wrong. What Frumster is now, JDate's. Like, if you want to get laid, go on Frumster, right?
Really?
Yeah. If you want.
I've been on Frumster, and I'm.
They read your blog, lady.
Oh.
Right. If you want to just get laid with some Jewish chick, go on Frumster. If you want to get laid with a non-Jewish chick, go on JDate, right? If you want to meet a frummy woman, you got to go on Facebook. That's your best shot. Or watch Torah Talks with Luke and Rabs, right? High five, high five.
High five.
Okay, so his question was, actually, if God is putting together matches, then why do we need JDate? You failed miserably when I asked you the question. It's because we don't just sit around waiting for chicks to fall out of the sky. Although for me, some reason it seems to work. But the thing is, we're supposed to do the legwork, right? We have to get on some dating site, and that's where he has us all meet each other, right? And it happens to be that in my situation, the women I always meet are not from specific dating sites. They're more from MySpace and Facebook. That's where I've met all the women in my life, in the last, since they've been existent. Yeah?
And you said he had a second question.
Oh, right. It's a question to you. You seem intellectually, it's to you, lady. You never seem intellectually engaged when Rabs is speaking. Why is this?
Because a major way that I do a show with Rabbi Rabs every week is that I tune him out, maybe too strong, but maybe at times. Okay, a lot of the times I just tune him out. He's such an intense figure that for me to be able to sit here calmly and do a show with him every week, I need to tune him out at times.
But the problem is, that's a good answer, but the problem is that the replays on YouTube I can't use for shit, because every time I'm talking, this guy's like picking his dick, he's checking out the scores, he's looking inside like this, blocking me off, I'm like fighting him off to get to the camera, he's looking in oblivion, he's going to the toilet, right? So what does the viewer see? They see, if you're not interested, why should they be interested? If you were engaged and you were laughing at my jokes and you were like going, yeah, you're right, and getting into it, then I might have something worthwhile. But as it is, nothing.
Did we get a check this week?
No, we haven't gotten zip this month. We've gotten a big piss. Our viewers, our sponsors have run from us lately. You're destroyed. Are you putting the annotations in like I've asked you to?
Some.
Why don't you do it every week? How long does it take out of your life?
2 minutes.
And if somebody if people would watch our videos and then pop a check in the mail every time they watch one of our videos and say, you know what, I've learned a lot tonight, and I feel like I need to pay for this. So I'm going to give them $18 for every time I watch, and they sent us checks. Wouldn't those 2 minutes that it takes be worth it?
Yeah, but I haven't gotten any checks.
Well, if you have the attitude, nobody sent me, but they never saw the thing, what's that worth? And while we're talking about it, folks, get behind us. It's time to start sending the checks in. Am I right? It's time to start sending the checks, because it's that time of year. What time is it, Levy?
It's the most
wonderful time of the year. Right? And if you're going to be paying, on Black Fridays when they all go out, right? And if you're going to be spending hundreds of dollars on crap like, what do they buy, Levy? The iPhone 5 and the iPhone 4 and what do they buy, Levy? I don't even know what these people buy. Hookers and all these gadgets and all this fun shit, and you're going to blow hundreds of bucks on that. Why don't you do the right thing, take some of that money, do the right thing, and send it to where it belongs. Send it to Torah Talks, folks. That's where the money should go. You agree with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
In Hollywood movies, finding the mate is frequently the plot line. But building a marriage is rarely the plot line. Take, for instance, the 1997 Jack Nicholson movie As Good as It Gets. Jack plays a misanthropic author who gets redeemed by his love for a waitress played by Helen Hunt. Although the movie has a happy ending, if anything like this happened in real life, it would not work unless the author got extensive counseling. If you can't get your computer to work, you take it to a professional and get it fixed. If you can't get your life or your relationships to work, you have to go to a pro as well. Now, a pro may mean a rabbi or just a wise person in the community. But you need to get help if your life or your relationships aren't working out. So Isaac and Rivka...
How does that have to do with the movie? Why would you bring that example? What's your point? What's your point?
Well, in Hollywood movies, finding your mate is frequently the plot.
Right, because sex movies bring in
romance. But rarely building a marriage is rarely the plot.
Building a marriage is rarely the plot.
So building a marriage is very difficult. Like Jack in this movie, the Jack Nicholson character, seems to have created a match with Helen Hunt, but he'd never be able to make it. His characters would never be able to make it work in real life unless he got help from a professional. It just wouldn't work out. So finding a mate is no simple matter, but then building from finding your mate and creating a successful marriage is incredibly difficult.
The best movie I ever saw that deals with the stresses of everyday life in a marriage, American Beauty.
Oh, yeah. That was good.
You see that one?
Yeah.
I recommend that to anybody. That movie was hilarious.
And Debbie Does Dallas.
That one, yeah, that was a little bit like on the same fort.
Yeah. So Isaac and Rebecca are not on the same page when it comes to raising Esau. Now this happens in real life, and there will never be anyone in your life who's on the same page as you with everything. You're going to have to negotiate differences all the way through your life, or you'll just go it alone.
Okay, stop.
Now, I want to finish this.
Okay. Yeah, you can.
Because my therapist talks to me like, you hate negotiation, don't you? Because I'm telling him about having to negotiate with you and how much I hate it. Luckily, we haven't had to do much in the last 4 or 5 months. It's been pretty smooth sailing. But like the first year, we had to negotiate a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I hated it. And I hate negotiation. It's difficult for me.
Uh-huh.
And so, but the alternative is you just go through life alone. So, go ahead. You had a point you wanted to make.
Right. Oh boy, there's a lot of things.
You had a point you wanted to make.
Yeah, there's a couple of points I want to make. And I also want to read this. The first point I want to make is when you said that not everybody's always going to be on the same page.
Yeah.
I personally think it helps to find somebody who you're on a lot of pages with.
Yeah.
You're not going to be on every page with somebody.
Right.
Try to look like you're engaged intellectually with me.
Okay.
Fake it. Put on a smile and go, really, Rams? That's very intuitive.
Really, Raz, that's very intuitive.
Very nicely said. By the way, it's the most wonderful time of the year. There's so many pages in the book of a couple. If you have two people in a relationship or in a marriage, there are so many pages. It's a huge volume. It's like War and Peace. Literally like War and Peace, right? Marriage is war and peace. And how many pages in War and Peace, Levy?
About 1,000.
Okay. So let's say there's 1,000 pages. You're not going to be on every page with that person. Just forget it. It's not going to happen. But you don't have to be on 0 pages as the same person, because that is just going to be war and no peace, right? So it's good to be on, I don't know exactly a number, whatever's in someone's comfort range, but maybe if you're 500 pages on the same page and 500 that you're not, then you have a good war and peace, right? You understand my...
Yeah.
Yeah. But, if somebody might be comfortable with 200 pages the same. I say go for as many as you can to be in your comfort range, because that's a good starting point. You know what I mean? Find women, or find a guy who shares your same values, your same goals, shares your sense of humor, can put up with your OCD, right? That's a huge one, right? And they realize they're with the modern day Howard Hughes, and they're okay with it. And that's a big thing, right? Because, if you have problems, right, let's say you're the kind of guy that when you're going to be with a woman, you're going to be thinking about all the women that you've seen naked before. You need to find a woman who's okay with that.
Yeah, good luck with
Oh, so her words sunk in after 2 weeks. She was right. Okay, so it's good to be on the same page with somebody, as much as possible. It's good because it leads to an easier time. Now, the other point I wanted to make is, do you agree with me on that? Any comment?
Yeah.
Okay. The other point I wanted to make is that you mentioned that if you don't compromise at all, then you could be looking at a life of doing it alone and a life of masturbation. Right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to say, to you, isn't that where you're going to end up going if you're not willing to make some changes in your thinking? He's doing his Alexander.
I think I'm on the right path.
Yeah? So then the psychiatrist or whatever has worked well with you in the last year.
I think I'm making some progress.
You're making some... I'll be honest, I think that you are a lot easier to deal with this year than you were last year. Because last year, I'm going to say you were very much... At least I got the impression from dealing with you of it's going to be my way or the highway. And everything has to be my way, and if you don't like it, then it's too bad. And I just said, okay, then it's too bad. Nice knowing you. Goodbye. And I think that I think I've been good for you because I've forced you into a situation with somebody that you have to deal with. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you had a roommate?
Early 1997, and he was gay. And to get to the shower, I had to go through his bedroom, and he'd be lying there, with his arms around his lover, 6 a.m. as I'm coming in to take a shower. He'd be there, or his lover would come up to the door and knock on the door with flowers. I mean, how gay was that? And on our first night that I stayed there, he like cooked dinner and like lit candles. And he ran this service that like he had maids. He ran these maids, and you could order a maid to clean your house, and she'd do it in the nude. He was on Jerry Springer for that.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. But speaking of, we keep talking about a book and like being on the same page or War and Peace book. I just want to be the darkest chapter in your sexual diary, baby.
All right, hey, there's a Ragin Cajun in the room. I don't know who that is. Let me know who you are. Somebody obviously from maybe New Orleans area. Yeah, do you know anybody from there? Let us know who you are.
Do you have any other points?
On that, no. You can go ahead on your next thing. Wait, I just want to read the...
You've been reading it for the last minute. How long does it take you to read 50 words?
I'm not very bright. You're from New Orleans. What's your name?
Okay.
We won't find out for another 20 minutes. What's the game? What's the score on the game?
23-3.
So 26.
If you give up on what's important to you, however, you'll also be miserable. So if you just refuse to negotiate, you'll be alone and miserable. If you just negotiate on everything and give up everything you stand for, you'll also be miserable.
Yeah,
so
I agree with that.
Learn to be committed to your values while you're equally committed to getting along with the people who are important to you. And then negotiating from that matrix. It's not like, oh, I'll never compromise because I believe so strongly in my values. But you have to maintain your integrity, know what you will not do and what you will do. Because it's like girls in porn. A lot of girls in porn.
Here we go.
They'd say, like, I only do go. And many of them would stick to it. So they would have like a long career and they would never take one penis. So that's like an example of like sticking to your principles.
Okay.
And then other girls say, I'll do gangbangs with no black guys. So, and they would stick to their principles because they'd have fathers or, relatives in the South who would like not be happy.
No, that they're fine with,
yeah,
30
fine
black
with
guys.
double anal, but no black guys. So even in the porn industry, you got people with principles, you got standards. Like you'll see strippers, they'll talk bad about another stripper who like spreads too much. Like even sex workers, they have all these differentiations. Like some girls like I don't do anal.
I never knew these subtleties.
Yeah. Like I remember I was going out with this girl a little while ago, and over dinner the first night she said that she's a very normal girl and that she'll never do anal. Like on the first dinner we had together. She like laid that out, and so like that was an example of a value for her. This was a value. This was a standard. She does not do that, and she seemed like a woman of integrity, a real Aisha Kyle.
That's the kind of woman you bring home to mom. As long as you say, "Look, mom, she won't do black guys. Can I keep her?"
Or I mean, I got a friend who's very successful. She's like has a very prestigious job.
Yeah.
And like I hear her talking about other girls, and she'll say, "Oh, she probably does anal with it." Like so, for her, like she's got standards again. She has things that she's committed to, and keeping the back door closed to entrance is one of her values. And like she seems to be really strongly committed to that. So she might do like married guys.
No problem.
But she won't do the back door, and so that's like
she's exotic.
Yeah, so that's like a standard. So it's not good when parents play favorites, but they often do. And schools and businesses are often operate like families operate. So in every business or in every school, they're like favorite children, and they're like the rebel children. So be it in a school or in a job, I keep playing out the rebel role. I tend to keep replaying the role that I had in my family growing up. As the youngest kid, I was the rebel. So your relationship with your father will profoundly affect your career and your financial status. The relationship with your mother will profoundly affect your relationships. So if you don't take a close look at these dynamics of how you respond to your father and how you respond to your mother, you'll keep playing out these responses throughout your life instead of relating to people as people are. Like, I get frustrated when people relate to me as just the type.
Who are you quoting in any of this?
This is me.
How do you know that any of this is true?
Because I'm a white man. People pay their money and they take their chances with others.
So your relationship with your father profoundly affects your career and financial status. Who says that? You just say
There's
that?
a psychiatrist who wrote a book on it.
Oh, I see. So he wrote it, or she wrote it, and therefore
He wrote it, yeah.
That's true.
Well, I believe it's true.
It's good to quote people when you make these.
I got a lot of credibility out there. when I say something, like when Luke Ford speaks, people listen.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's what you have to say. You know what? No, nothing. Go ahead. Next thing.
So I hate it when people relate to me and I just represent something to them because they're still like working out their relationship, say, with Orthodox Jews. I had this girl who just like thought, oh, because I'm an Orthodox Jew, I won't do this or that. But, I'm an Orthodox Jew, but I would do this or that. And so she didn't relate to me as I was. She related to me in the light of like the Rebbe she knew at yeshiva when she was going to a day school. But I'm not her Rebbe's at yeshiva.
Okay, so she's stereotyping.
Yeah, she was like just relating to me as a type rather than, relating to me as a human being. And that's what we all, tend to do with other people. Like I relate to Rabs, I guess in some respect, because he reminds me of other people that I've met in my life. Maybe in theory, I can't really actually think of anyone that Rabbi Rabs reminds me of. So scratch that. Rewind.
You know what? Based on what you just said, I would say is the foundation, is the, what do they call it? The backline of of my act when I was doing comedy all the time at the big clubs, because I was playing off of people's stereotype of what their conception is of what someone who's dressed like me does. Right? What is a rabbi dressed like me going to talk about? What's he going to do? He's not going to be in this room. He's not going to be on that stage. Right. So the fact that he's there, something is wrong, right? But this wouldn't be a problem if people would just say, oh, it's this guy. It's just a normal guy. It's just he happens to be a rabbi and he, whatever. But, if they would have treated me like that, then my show is over, because everything I'm doing is based on shock value, based on the fact that they have certain, you know what I mean? It's like the setup. It's all called, we talked about this during the interview that you first interviewed me. What's that called? High art? What's that called? There's a type of
Maslow's hierarchy of values.
What? No, it's conceptual art. It's conceptual art. It's high art. It's the concept is the setup, and the punchline is that I'm not that. Right. And the concept in this case is the stereotype of what they think that I am. Then therefore everything I say is funny.
Who do men say that I am? That's what Jesus used to say.
Because I am Jesus. I am Jesus, and I've come back
to save me from my sins.
To save you because you're disgusting. So no, but that's what I want to say is that the setup. It's always funny when someone does conceptual art because it does what they're not expecting.
Yeah.
But if you were to be expecting,
like a lot of movies are about a fish out of water.
Right. But if you were expecting me just to be normal and just be a guy who happens to be a rabbi and happens to have payas or whatever, then nothing in my show is funny. That's why some people don't get it.
Right.
Some people don't get me because they look at it and they go, well, what's funny about that? Well, if you don't have these preconceived notions, probably none of it's funny. But it's not designed for people who are familiar with Jews, because they're not the ones that go to the comedy store. They're not the ones that go to the improv, right? Firmies don't go to these places, right? Who goes to these places? Goyim go to these places, and they don't know anything about Frummies, right? Because they've been sheltered from us. So it's a lot of fun. You go in there and you fuck with their heads. Okay, make sense?
Yes.
Now you want to do comedy for a living?
Doesn't seem like a very reliable living.
If it paid well, would you like to go on stage and everybody go, oh, Luke's so funny, ha
I'd
ha?
love it.
Okay, I knew it. Yeah, okay. Because you need the
stage. If it paid decently, I'd do it.
Because you need the spotlight and the
attention. I love attention.
Yeah, you love attention because you're the youngest kid. You're the youngest kid according to the psychiatrist. Look at me! I'm up here making people laugh. I'm the big deal.
Like almost all the most stupid and dumb things I've ever done are because I've been thirsting for attention. Like the only way that I can kind of keep that in check is if I connect to God every day. And like go to Shul, daven, like study Torah, like do something real that connects me to God.
Okay.
Then that can kind of keep my attention addiction from destroying my life.
Okay.
If I don't do that, it just keeps destroying my life because I'm just like so needy for attention. So if I can like do it in a healthy way by getting to Shul and mixing with good people at Shul, then I tend to act out less.
I've seen you like interact with other people a little bit, and you're not the attention whore when you're with other people. Where I do see that you're attention whore is your interactions on the internet and on the show. That's where your attention whore comes out. But when you're actually in the group of people, you seem to be withdrawn and subdued.
Yeah, I'm making progress.
You're good.
Rabbi Beryl Wine writes, frightening thing about the struggle between Esau and Jacob is its apparently doomed inevitability.
How do you read that with... Oh, it's down there. Okay.
Many of our problems are just inevitable.
Okay.
We can't escape them. Am I looking for a woman in Shul? Yes. So much of the tension between husband and wife is just inherent to a man and a woman pairing up. So Dennis Prager says this: half the problems you have with your spouse are simply because your spouse is a member of the opposite sex. So there's no soulmate out there for you who just understands you and accepts you 100%, and relating to her is always easy. There's always going to be work involved, and many of these problems are just inevitable. As are many of the problems between observant Jews and non-observant Jews, and between Jews and non-Jews. These problems, no matter what the righteous Jew does, they're still inevitable. Rabbi Wine writes, the question of accommodation of the relationship between the Jewish people and the broader, more numerous and more powerful non-Jewish world remains alive and relevant till our very day. There will never be a time when relating to the Goyish world is tension-free for the Jew, particularly for the observant Jew. That said, it's a lot easier just to surround yourself with observant Jews. So it's easier if you're going grocery shopping to do it at Glotmart than at Ralph's, because at Ralph's you have to always check the labels for processed food to see if they're kosher. So the more I surround myself with Gentiles, the more I find myself...
Whoa, I wanted to comment on that.
I'm going to finish the sentence if you can. The more I find myself compromising on my Jewish observance, and I pretty much become like whoever I hang around.
Then I have 2 points, because I want to comment on both paragraphs.
Yeah.
Okay, you said, Michelle said, are you looking for a woman in Shul? You said yes?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to get to Michelle's last question for me after I'm done with these 2 points. I'm going to be talking for a while. You might want to watch the game. Tune me out. Okay.
Oh, it's 27-3.
Oh, I got no chance.
I got no
chance. No. It's already 30 points. I need 26 points this quarter. The first thing is you said that it's easier to shop at Glotmart than it is at Ralph's. If that were the case, then I would shop at...
Well, no, for you, because you know all the laws. But unless you know everything and familiar, like if you're not really rooted in what's kosher and what isn't,
okay.
you're gonna have to. It's going to be a lot more difficult.
Because I never shop at Glotmart, and I always shop at Ralph's.
Why don't you shop at Glotmart?
Why?
Yeah,
I'm much more
cheaper.
I'm much more comfortable in Ralph's. It's more my speed. I don't like crowded. You know what they do at Glotmart?
It's the Persians. You just don't like Persians.
I don't like Persians. I don't like one thing that Persians do. No, there's 2
push
things.
And shove.
They push and shove. You're going to get a lot of that in a Persian market. But here's the thing I don't like that Persians do in their markets, and they own all of them
they talk fussy.
On Pico, is they want to get as much stuff on the shelf space as possible. They want to get as much merchandise to sell to you. So what they do is they make the aisles so thin that the big fat Persian women can't possibly get through them, right? So you've got these really narrow aisles and tons of aisles because they have walls and shelves of all this shit that they're trying to move on you. So it's all about how much shit can they sell. But there's no customer service. There's no feeling of convenience when you're in there. And I go in there, and these aisles are tiny, and all these people there, and I go, I'm out of here. I have no business in a place like that. I feel far more comfortable at Ralph's
with the Goyim.
With the Goyim, because the aisles are spacious. There's It's a big store.
They're playing the carpenters.
They're playing the carpenters, right? What's the song? How's it go? It's the most wonderful time of the year. And you never are crowded in Ralph's. You feel like you can spread out and you can stretch and you don't have to compress. What's that word? Compress. There's no compression in Ralph's. It's like ease, and you like ease.
Like Alexander Heaven.
It's Alexander Heaven, and you can ask a simple question to one of the goyim who works there and say, where is the
spaghetti?
Where is the spaghetti? And you don't feel like you have to rush because they have an attention span of 4 seconds, right? And then
and they smile at you.
And they smile and they say, "How are you, baby? It's so good to see you." You don't get that personalized service at a Jewish one. And I'm not picking on Glockmark. I'm talking about all of them, right? So I feel much more comfortable and at ease at Ralph's, and I never shop in a market where frummies are pushing and shoving and all this. The only times I ever go into a frummy market is when I need something specific that I can't get at Ralph's. I need Chalav Israel milk. I need Chalav Israel cheese. I need some kosher wine or some you know what I mean? I need something that's very Jewy that they don't sell at Ralph's. And otherwise, I'm not going in one of these stores. Period. I don't go in those stores for any other reason, to be quite honest.
Okay.
Okay?
Second point.
Second point is you said that the more you hang around the Gentiles, the more you start to lose it, right?
Yeah.
So if you're compromising your Judaism or whatever, well, that's because that's something else. No, then I would say that you need to separate yourself from the guy. You need to back off from those. And then I also brought up something I wanted to discuss. Do you have a heter for touching women? Do you actually have a heter for touching women and putting them on your board in your room here that you've put all over your blog today?
The answer to that would be no.
Do you think it would be a good idea to get a heter for that?
Nah.
So you just want to do it be'isser. Advertise the fact that you're doing it and you don't have a heter for it.
Yeah.
You think that's a good idea?
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
How is that different than the guy who wears talis and tzitzis and goes into McDonald's and gets a cheeseburger?
Well, like doctors touch women all the time.
But doctors have a heter for it because they're saving a life.
Oh yeah, I'm saving lives too.
You're saving lives.
Yeah.
Because
saving lives from needless compression.
From needless compression. Because her neck hurts or something. Because she doesn't have a good posture.
Yeah.
You're saving her life.
Yeah.
This is why I think you should actually get a heter for it. This is my personal opinion. I don't know anybody else who does Alex, so I can't say that there's a heter for it. I can't say that.
I just tell people Rabbi Rab says it's okay.
No, I would not say that because I don't know. I know that doctors have it because they're in a life and death situation. I don't see a life or death situation when some, hot-looking Latina who's probably 19, 20 or something comes over here and she's like, yeah, do my neck. And I'm thinking, where's the heter for that? And then I started thinking, is this why Levi even, he moved from porn and now he's doing Alex because it's his way of getting women to come into his place and can, give them a massage and check out their tits?
God forbid.
I'm just asking, So there's, okay. So I have a challenge for you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a challenge for you when you start building up your business to have a rule that you only do male clients.
Where's the fun in that?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. The fact that you answered that says everything I said is legit. Rabs is right on. Rabs is never wrong on these things. Rabs is never wrong on these things, ladies and gentlemen. I challenge you for that. If you have enough to make a parnasa, to make a living, you have enough clients who are male, and you don't need females anymore, to make that living, I challenge you to say, I'm a males only. I work with males only. Can you do it?
No.
Then I think you need to get a heter. Because if you don't get a heter to do it, then you're fooling yourself. You're fooling yourself because you're saying, I, Levi, am doing it because I say, but you can't give yourself your own heter. Right? So then you're doing it probably be'isser, very likely be'isser. And I don't see the difference personally if you're doing it and it's not permitted, you're publicly touching women and all this. I don't see how that's, with your yarmulke and everything, I don't see how that's different than walking in McDonald's getting a cheeseburger. I really don't. And you're the one who says that that's a big fucking problem. Right? I'm the one who's like, if a guy goes in there, at least he's wearing a yarmulke and a tzitzis, right? So, like, if you're touching these women, I'm thinking, okay, well, at least he has a yarmulke and tzitzis. But that's not me, it's you. So you're the hypocrite here. I can give you malamed schus and I don't care. But how do you justify to yourself this? You should get yourself a heter. You'll sleep a lot better at night. You won't need the apnea thing anymore.
Well,
go ahead.
This is how I justify it. Women, they often feel better than men do. They smell better. They look better. They're often more fun to talk to. They're often more pleasant to have around. They just make me happy.
What the hell are you talking about?
Being around women makes me happy. And God wants me to be happy, doesn't He?
So that's exactly why you chose this thing, because the bottom line is you would like to fill your entire clientele with females.
No, I'm happy.
And bring them into your room, into your bedroom, and then you want to interview them afterwards and do a photo shoot and have them sit on your lap and ask you for presents for Christmas.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so at least we established that. Now, I want to answer Michelle's question. She says, Rabs, does God say there are soulmates for everyone or at all? God never says that there's soulmates for everyone. Here's what happens. It says that that 40 days, well, let's just put it this way. At conception, when the time of conception, a bas kol goes out, which is the voice of the heavens goes out, and it says, Ploni Zeh is going to be married Plona Zeh. So, that this person's going to be matched with so-and-so else, right? So when a person is conceived, and they're still in the womb, it's determined, God determines who their match is going to be. But we also know that not everybody ever gets married. Right? Some people die as single. Many, many people die as single. Look at the Holocaust. Many people died as single, right? People die as single every day. I very likely might die single. If you don't change your attitude. So we know that there's not a match for everyone. So how does that happen? How do we explain it? So Rashi explains in the Talmud, in Sota, that there's different types of zivug. There's different types of besheret. There's a zivug rishon and a zivug sheni. The first pair that you're supposed to get is the person you're designed to get, and you will meet them at some point in your life, and you will be with them. And if you don't get married to them, then that means that they were what's the word I want to be?
Incarnated?
No, assigned by God to somebody else. They were originally assigned to you, but God decided they should go to somebody else. And then what you get is perhaps a zivug sheni, which is a secondary partner, somebody who wasn't designed to you while you were in the womb. But maybe you won't get one, because there's no guarantee that you're going to get that secondary partner. So everyone is guaranteed that they're going to meet somebody in their life who's designed as their thing. But the question is, maybe that person's reassigned to somebody else, and you won't get a chance to marry them. So that explains how it is that people die as single, because they met the person, but they didn't marry them because that person got reassigned to somebody else, and they never got assigned a second partner. Right? So they have to say that in my case, for sure at this point, because I'm already 50. So whoever was my zivug rishon when I was sitting in the womb, that person was definitely reassigned to somebody else. And now the question is, do I have a zivug sheni? I'd like to think I do. And, and that's the story on that. You, on the other hand, I don't know what your story What do you think?
I don't have any opinions.
Okay, so that's the story. I hope I answered your question, Michelle. Go ahead. Your thing. What's the score?
27-3.
How do you know that? How do you know without checking?
So I looked 5 minutes ago. The Rabbi Beryl Wine writes, the Torah just seems to take it for granted. This is the way it's going to be. This accounts to a great degree for the almost traditional Jewish attitude of fatalism regarding the behavior of the non-Jewish world toward the Jews.
Okay.
Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai stated in the Talmud that it is a given rule that Esau hates Yaakov, meaning that the Goyim hate the Jews. However, there are other opinions there in the Talmud that take a different attack and belie this inevitability of hatred and violence. So faith and fortitude in our own self-worth, the strongest weapons in our arsenal to bring Esau, the non-Jewish world, to reconciliation and harmony. So when you're solid in yourself, when you're doing mitzvahs, when you're studying Torah, criticisms from the outside world don't bother you. They'd have to start nailing you to a cross before you start getting upset and say, hey, take that big nail out of my hand.
No, I'll go a step further. Even that shouldn't bother you. Because why? Why shouldn't that bother you later?
Because I gave you anesthesia first?
No.
Because you're dying Kiddush Hashem.
Because you're dying Kiddush Hashem, that means you're guaranteed heaven. And you get the 72 virgins and all that stuff, right? Here's the point. Somebody who is trapped in this world and doesn't believe in Torah, doesn't understand why they're here.
Mm-hmm.
So, the idea of dying is horrible to them. It's frightening beyond belief because it ends everything for them.
Mm-hmm.
But those of us who are not living in a mindset that we're confined by this world and understand that this is just a very temporary time period and we're going to be living eternally, and Libby and I are going to be on every day.
We're going to be in heaven together.
We're going to be watching.
Forever.
We're going to be broadcasting live 24/7, 365, a billion and a billion, right?
Can't wait.
Yeah. So start giving your money now. And buy yourself a share of this. Pay your money now so you can watch it in the next world. What am I saying? So somebody like that, we don't bother. So the Goyim are going to kill us. So what? That doesn't ruin it for us. That doesn't bother us. What would bother us? If the Goyim came to us and said we can't practice Judaism, that would bother us. Because a frum Jew knows that the most important and the only reason why he's down here in this world is to do Torah and mitzvahs. So the Goyim try to take that away from us. That leaves us without an outlet. We can't do what we're designed to do, and that would bother us.
What if the Goyim came to us and said you can't cheat on your taxes or do money laundering anymore? That would
that would bother
devastate
me.
Jewish life.
Yeah, well, all the yeshivas
would have to shut down.
Yeah, I know that.
Countless shuls would shut down. Jewish charities would be decimated.
So that's the story on that. It's like, but I agree with you 100%. If a Jew who's involved in Torah and does all the mitzvahs should be secure in their own Jewishness, right? Their own Jewishness, their own Judaism, and they don't care about what the outside world thinks. Look at me, right? 24/7, 365. I'm dressed like this with the payas and the beard.
Even when you take a shower.
Yeah, the payas don't fall off in the water now. I've got them trained, right? But even when I go surfing, I'm got my hat on and I got my payas out,
blowing in the wind.
Yeah, I
with the circumcision.
Yeah, I want everybody to see that at the water. Yeah, that's that. So it's like I'm secure in what I'm saying in that area. It's like I don't care.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where we're at. It's like if you really believe all this is true, then you follow it all, and then you don't care what people think because you're involved. And oh my God, I'm going to lose tonight. So you don't care about these things. These things don't matter to you what people think about you, right? And I agree with that 100%. The people who get so nervous, right, about I always smell it. The people who get so nervous about attacks on Jews or whatever are almost always secular.
Yeah.
They're almost always secular because they're insecure in their own Jewishness. That's what's called being insecure in your Jewishness, right? things don't bother us, right? People say, "Oh, do you have a problem with like all the Christians, converting, converting Jews and stuff?" Doesn't really bother me, right? Christians don't bother me, right? Only a Jew who's insecure in their own Jewishness is going to be offended by something like that, right? Because I'm going to say, look, if a Jew is secure in their own Jewishness, they're not going to fall for that stuff, right? They only can attack people who are insecure in their own Jewishness, right?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So other people only upset you when they touch on your own insecurities. If you're solid, what the outside world does doesn't bother you. Rabbi Wein writes, the Torah tells us that when Esau, that means Esau for those following in English, sold the birthright to Yaakov, that's Jacob for those following in English, he had no regrets and no hesitation in so doing, because the birthright was then of no value to him. The pot of lentils, the good time, the night out with the boys, his sexual conquests. These were the important things in his life. So he throws away the item that in later life he will most crave and long to find, his birthright, his soul, his very being. Same thing happened to me. I gave away my honor for a song, and now I look back and I long to recapture that innocence.
What song was that?
There's Aria Speedwagon, High Infidelity.
What?
I remember, like, when I had a hard time getting my girlfriend in the mood, put on a cassette of R.E.O. Speedwagon's High Infidelity, and it would get her in the mood.
Oh, I saw those guys live in a club in the Valley.
Did it get you in the mood?
No, but it was a good show. It was before they went, they sold out. Before they went pop.
Before they became huge?
Yeah, they were really tiny. They played in the a country western club in the Valley. I can't remember the name of it. The Palomino. You ever heard of it? It's in the Valley on Lancashire. I don't know if it still exists. This was 40 years ago or whatever. Yeah, they were good.
Rabbi Wein writes, Esau, that's Esau, scribe.
Thanks for reminding us.
No, the blessing for me. So from the depths of the souls of countless Jews today, all of the alternate forms of Judaism, the phony Kabbalists and the guitar-playing kitsch prayer services are a symptom of this deep longing for spirituality, meaning, and self-worth in life. Having sold out and discarded the birthright, many times without even realizing there was once a birthright, it was abandoned by their grandparents for a pot of lentils, all of the new blessings somehow turn out to be unsatisfying and non-propagating.
I would agree with that. In fact, I would say more. I would say that the Jew has a history of things look tastier.
Mm-hmm.
That's the lesson from Asa. Because Asa was technically, he grew up in a Jewish house.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Rabbi Victor Miller, I think I spoke about this last year, I'm not going to do it again, but he makes a big point. You cannot grow up in the home of Rivka and Yitzchak and not grow up with a huge amount of goodness. Right? So Asa was 1,000 times more righteous than all the other goyim on the planet because he grew up in that home. He is not a bad boy. He's just bad compared to Yaakov because Yaakov was over the top. Right? You have two brothers and one's like Mr. Goody Two Shoes, right? And the other one is like always compared to him, so he looks like terrible compared to him. But compared to all the other people on the planet, he was great, right? You can't grow up in that home without ending up righteous. Now, what am I talking about? So in a way, he was like Jewish, right? It's in the blood. He's got the same blood. He's a twin of...
Like those gangsters, they're a Kohen, and so they won't enter like a cemetery. But they'll still kill people, but they won't enter a cemetery. Like Jewish gangsters. Mm-hmm. They're still a little bit observant. Some of them.
Thank you for that. So,
it's like the Jewish pornographer won't work on Yom Kippur. I remember there's this like Persian Jew who, when I asked him, he's a pornographer, when I asked him how you doing, he'd say, "Thank God."
You told me that one. So what am I saying here? What am I saying here about this guy? So he sold it all for some soup because it was really tasty. It was different. This looks really good. And how quickly he abandons everything for something that looks and tastes good. Look at how the Jews, when they go to yeshiva, and then they say, oh, they grow up in a firma home, and then they get, like, exposed to the outside world, and they go, oh, there's rock music, this is so good. Oh, there's chicks, and they have, tuchuses, and they have boobies. Oh, this is so good, And then they like get.
Then it leaves them feeling empty inside.
And then they just abandon everything, just to get laid and to listen to music and to smoke a cigarette. Wow, look at me, I'm so cool. Or they maybe want to smoke a toke, and have a few brews, and they want to be cool, and it all looks so good. And then the next thing you know, they left Torah behind.
And they're going down on guys.
That's always the next. Rabbi Victor Miller talks about that too. He says,
"Just going down on guys."
Yeah, he's.
I'd like to hear that.
We've wiped out everybody. There's not a soul left in the chat room. That he said that when someone in the congregation comes to him and says, "Oh, Rabbi, help me out. My son or my son is shacked up with some woman, and they're not married."
Yeah.
Rabbi Miller says, "You know what? You should say Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem, he's shacked up with a woman and not a man."
Yeah.
Oh, you know about him saying that?
No, but that's good. I like it.
Okay. All right. Back to your boring stuff. Yeah.
Different kids require different educations. Rabbi Wein writes, Rabbi Shimshon Raphael Hirsch boldly observes that Yitzhak and Rivka to be faulted for giving Esau the same type of education and curriculum of study that they assigned to Yaakov. Esau is not Yaakov, and so different kids need different forms of education.
That's true.
Because they're like some kids, we don't need no education. Boom. Boom. We don't need no thought control. No dark sarcasm in the classroom.
Boom, boom, teacher.
Hey, teacher, leave those kids alone. All in all, you're just another brick in the wall.
How can you have your pudding if you haven't had any meat? I want to go back to one other thing, too.
Please.
You talked about that the Jews are looking for spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody there, lady. The Jews are looking for spirituality. They're not going to fight in our
that's
chat
my
room.
social life. I keep looking into an empty chat room, hoping someone will come visit me.
Right. No, it's a signal that it's time to wrap this thing up. But I just wanted to make start this final thing, okay?
Yeah.
So you mentioned that the Jews are always looking for spirituality,
right?
And that a lot of people go into Torah because they're looking for spirituality. Some of them don't hit the mark, and they end up like in humanistic Judaism. And,
right.
With the one with the guitar playing. Zoom, 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 zoom. Look at me, I'm so from. I'm playing guitar.
Woman playing guitar.
Yeah. No, they're not usually attractive too. They're usually
occasionally
fat yentas. Look at me, I hate men. I'm playing the guitar. I'm
they're
right.
just as valuable in God's eyes, even though they're fat and lesbians.
Look at me, I'm leading services on Friday night, and I play the goddamn guitar, and I hate men. Everybody repeat after me, Amen. Love Barbara Streisand, love Liberal Party in America, down with capitalism. Okay, so I'm right about that. Now, what am I saying? Now, I want to say in your case, I'm not convinced that your search and that led you to be, get from conversion and get to Judaism was forced by spirituality. I have a different possibility I'm going to present to you, and tell me how off base this is. I think you came at this as an intellectual pursuit more than a spiritual soul search. And the reason why, you can take this back to your shrink.
You never get a vibe of spirituality from me. There's never even a hint of it.
No, this is why. Because you can take this back to your shrink this week and tell me, and let him say I'm off base.
Mm-hmm.
But here's my theory. Because you were born outside of Judaism, right? And you're this younger kid, and you always want attention, and your father's got this PhD, and it's a big deal, and he's into academia. And what is everybody like in your family? Academia, and you have to have a lot of books you learn, and you have to like master the texts, and you have to have like an academic status and all this. So, okay, so let's look at all the religions in the world, okay? Islam, you could probably learn all of Islam in 4 months, right? I mean, like, how many books do you have to know, right? You could probably be the biggest scholar in Islam in 4 months. Christianity, right? New Testament. Even the people, if the people who are the experts in Christianity, right, in the Christian world, actually opened up the Torah, right, they would see how the New Testament contradicts the Old Testament, and it's clearly written by men, and it's all false. I mean, it's just a bunch of bullshit, right? So obviously they've never really studied the text in depth, and if the ones who do would end up out, they would leave because it's all contradicts itself. It's self-contradicting. So you could be like the biggest expert in Christianity, like in what, like 2 years probably, like you know more than like 99% of people in Christianity, because my overall thing is that the average Christian doesn't really know the texts, because if they did, they would be out of it. Okay, so what religion on the planet has the most wisdom? It has the most difficult one, the most intellectual one, the most difficult one to master, and it's got to be Judaism. Because look at me, I'm a rabbi. I studied full time, all year round, all day and all night, for 8 straight years, and I know a fraction of it, just a fraction, right? I don't know, like, you know, you can get like the biggest expert rabbis here in LA, right? And I'm not gonna say names because I know you're gonna poo-poo those people.
It's a great sin to poo-poo Torah scholars.
Okay, all right. So
That's for sure.
okay, so like you get the biggest people, right? They would be the first people to tell you that they don't know half of the Torah, right? They don't know half of it. Because it's so great that you could spend your entire life learning it and you still don't know all of it. It's overwhelming. There's so much to be learned, right? So this would be a great pursuit for somebody who's intellectually motivated, because you could start diving into it, and you could, like, even, you know, if you don't master all of it, you're going to master like a little bit of it, and you can get like a whole bunch of dates, and you can explain all the holidays, and you can say, oh, like 4,000 years ago, this is what was going on, and you could start to build yourself up day after day after day. Look at me, I'm going to Daf Yomi every morning, and I'm learning more and more, and you're just building yourself up as a big, giant intellectual, and then you can turn around and get on the internet and go, look at me, I'm an intellectual, I know more than you, because you only know Christianity, but I've been learning Judaism, and I get up every morning and I know stuff, and suddenly this is like builds you up, and like you're like, it's all textual, right? So a part of me thinks that, I would say a lot of me thinks that this is what motivated you into it, is that you can put a cap on yourself, right, a little yarmulke, and go, look at me, I'm the moral leader, I'm moral, I'm wearing the yarmulke, look at that, big size, that, got the big fucking beard in your face, big ass beard, ZZ Torah, right in you, coming at you, ZZ Torah, right? And then you can say, oh, look at me, I quote Prager, you know, and it's just one thing after another.
It's another cry for attention.
I don't know if it's attention, but it's that you want to come off like Mr. Intellectual, and I'm attached to something intellectual, and then you can go back at your parents and go, nah, you guys are all falling stupidities, I'm falling Torah, it's much more intellectual. You got a PhD, I don't need a PhD, I'm entry level into something gigantic, you're like the expert of nothingness, you know? It's like, oh, look at me, I'm a PhD in Gornishkeit, you know? But look at me, right, I'm entry level in something gigantic, you know, so it's like I'm part of something big, I'm big, you know, and I think that's got a lot to do with it. What do you think about all that?
I think that's good. I find it interesting that I never talk about God in therapy. I can never say, oh, God wouldn't want me to do that, or
okay,
or I shouldn't do this because God wouldn't like it, or, you know, I feel distant from God this week, or, like, I never talk about God. I never talk about, oh, the Torah commands me to do X, Y, Z. I talk about, well, I can't do X, Y, Z in my community. You know, that's out. Just wouldn't work socially. But I never like wrestle with God, or with Torah and therapy, or in my diary, in my journal. I never like, oh, wonder what God thinks about this, or wonder what the Torah wants for me to do in this situation. So I find it interesting that like neither God nor Torah really comes up in either my therapy or my journal. So it's like they're kind of like absent from my
thought process.
Yeah. I think it's an overreaction from growing up Christian, where everything is God, 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 faith in God, love God, 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 God. And so, but it's not that different from most of the Orthodox Jews I know don't talk about God. I mean, they'll say Baruch Hashem, but they never say, well, I feel distant from God this week, or I really miss God, or they don't talk about God
because it's not a personal. It's not personalized.
Right.
God is not personalized.
Right. But it just doesn't come up in conversation.
Right.
Except for as a ritual incantation. So I guess there's so much God talk in my Christian upbringing that I kind of overdosed on it, and so it's like the community in Torah is the most interesting to me. Because it's like intellectually interesting and morally interesting and socially interesting, sociology and the dynamics and how people interact and how synagogues operate and the history of it. And like great Torah scholars are interested. That's interesting to me. But like God, it's not easy for me because I had so much God talk as a kid that you can overdose on perfectly good things. Like if you hear it enough times, it can cease to have meaning.
So that insight explains more of what I'm saying, because what you grew up with was, we're all about a spiritual buzz.
Yeah.
And you're saying, well, look at me. I don't need a spiritual buzz.
Yeah, I'm not interested in spiritual buzz.
I'm all intellectual.
Yeah.
You'd be the last candidate for like the Kabbalah Center.
Yeah.
You would never blend with Kabbalah Center.
Yeah.
I'm
no
surprised,
interest in Kabbalah. No.
I'm surprised that you fit in with Chabad.
Yeah, it's the most intellectual of the Hasidic branches.
I say it's the least. It's the least. It's all this spirituality and the hoo-ha, and like, we got 4 levels and 7 floors, and there's different rooms in each.
Well, virtually every Chabad house has a daf yomi, so.
That's very strange. That's very strange. Because in yeshivas, I'm just going by yeshivas because I'm a yeshiva guy, right? In the yeshivas, they're the least intellectual because everybody else is learning Gemara from morning, from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed. Maybe there's some halacha in there as well. And Chabad is like learning Hasidus all day, right? So they're like the Kabbalah center of yeshivas, right? In the yeshiva world.
Right.
It's funny how you say that in the shul world, they're actually learning Gemara, and the other shuls aren't. And that is very funny to me, but I'm talking about yeshiva world. I still say that you would profit, you would benefit, your soul would benefit, and you as a person would benefit if you sat in yeshiva for a time.
I'd like to go to a mixed-sex yeshiva.
I wouldn't be surprised to see you there.
And I'd like to teach a class there.
Yeah, you in hands-on sex training or some stupidity.
That's horrible. God forbid.
You're going to take a chassan and kala class and give a demonstration. No, you're going to film the fucker. You're going to film the... okay.
Getting ready for your wedding. That's terrible.
And then you explain to them what they're doing wrong. No, that's not where she needs it. She needs it like... let me show you.
That's terrible. That's a horrible thought. I can't believe, I'm blushing at the wickedness of what we're just talking about. I'm used to, living up here and then, being forced to descend to, the most base level. It's oh my. I'm like the spiritual being who longs to commune with Hashem, and he's bringing it down to this Gashmias, and I'm into Ruchnias.
You're into spirituality. I'm going to send you the other one. You know what? It's like a rubber band, folks. Here's what it is, like a rubber band. It's like you pull the rubber band so far, and you go, we can't go any further, and you shoot it, and it goes woo, the other side, right? So I think that you've been taking you've been stretching it intellectually with no spirituality.
It wasn't a rubber band; it was more like a condom.
Yeah, and you've been filling up the condom all the way, right? And
look how big it is.
Boop.
And then make a hole in it. And
now it's been pointed out to you, you might start holding back on that, and start going into the spirituality. So, like a month from now, we might be doing Torah talks. Would be like, open up the Zohar. Did you know that Rabbi Berg has explained that all we need to do is look at the words, and we'll take off and whatever. And our first woman guest is going to be like Britney Spears. You're going to go, oh, her name's not Britney, it's Esther, or whatever the hell. And then you're going to be like the new spokesperson for Kabbalah Center. Oh, we got these people back in the room.
Michelle Bob's a young woman, right?
Scary beard is gone.
She's a young woman.
Michelle?
Yeah.
She's
a young woman.
What do you consider young?
Under 30.
I don't think so.
Oh.
Because she's
oh. I'm confusing her with another woman.
Maybe another woman with the last name Bob.
Noel?
Yeah, Noel is 21, 22 or something.
That's young.
She's 40. She's right your age, lady.
Oh, good. She's age appropriate.
She's age appropriate. We may have a shit up right here. Hey, Michelle, what do you think of guys who are like, a little bit more intellectual than spiritual? What do you think of a guy who's like has a background in porn? Well, how would you move into like a closet in somebody else's house?
You sound so tempting.
Yeah, but you would get free bullshit arm, neck massage, because this will save your life. Mm-hmm. He's got a heter for that, yeah. Okay, so there's that. So what do you think about that, Michelle? Rabs, do you read the Zohar? No. And the reason I don't read the Zohar is because there's a tradition in Judaism that says before you do brain surgery, you should at least take a biology class. Right? Wouldn't you want your brain surgeon to have some background before they open up your head? Wouldn't you want them to have a degree in residency and what's the other thing? Internship? Wouldn't you want them to have a medical board certified and have a degree from like the best university in the country, whatever? Why would I open up the Zohar and before I've learned the whole Torah? Because you can't understand the Zohar, and it assumes you've learned everything else, right? It assumes you've learned everything else. Opening up the Zohar and thinking you understand it is tantamount to, without learning the whole Torah first, is tantamount to doing brain surgery, and you've never went to biology class. You're just an idiot. And you're never going to understand what you're doing, and it's dangerous. It is dangerous, folks, and the danger is you're going to come out thinking the exact opposite of what the Torah is trying to tell you inside the Zohar. And that is the danger of the Zohar Center, or whatever they call it, the Kabbalah Center, or whatever, right? People should not go there.
I agree with that. Go to a real shul. So, really important that the kiddies stay away from the Kabbalah Center. And stay in a real yeshiva.
Yes.
Stay off the crack. So, with your permission, I'd like to leave everything rolling and do our Alexander technique on film.
Okay.
Are you okay with that?
I'm okay as long as you go to the game.
Okay. Okay. So.
Wait. You know what? You could turn off the Ustream and just leave it on the YouTubes. Or you just want to leave it?
I just want to leave it.
Okay. What's the score here? 34-3. There's no time left, and God, this is not a good night for me.
I'm sorry you're suffering.
Not only are we going to lose after we started off 11-1 on the weekend, not only are we losing, but the guy we're losing to is now going to tie us on the overall season standings with 3 wins. So there's that. So the overall season standings lead of getting 3 only lasted 1 week. Oh, he must be so happy. Go, fella, run with the ball. Not happy.
I'm sorry that you're suffering.
Football, I hate football.
want that to point up.
I don't understand it. We lost 3 games this weekend, and we lost the whole thing. Last week we lost like 6 games and won.
Okay, so let's do some work.
All right.
So let's stand here, let's just look out at the nice world.
Okay.
And bring your feet so they're under your hips. So allow your neck to be free so the head can release forward and up. So you're just thinking up. Think about the width across your back. As you're thinking up on your spine, up through your torso. Just release your left arm. Good, like that, yes. So you just keep thinking up. So you see how much release we can get of your arms. So your arm's an extension of your back. Thinking about the length from your shoulder to your elbow and let go of your arm. Release all holding. And try to release your arm. And we're thinking up here. Neck is free, head's releasing forward and up. How's your neck pain and back pain these days?
Oh, my neck has been terrible the last couple of days. My neck has been really terrible. I think it's because I've been sleeping around the or something. But it's been really terrible.
Okay, so I'm bringing a chair behind you, so you feel the chair there right behind you.
Okay.
So, neck is free, edge releasing forward and up. Bend with the hips. Notice this starting to compress as you're sitting down.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, so the game's over. Do you mind if I turn that off?
Yeah, that's fine. I lost. My life is over as I know it.
I'll just leave it on the chat, see if anyone comes in. Okay, so neck is free. It's the foundation because there are more joints in the neck than anywhere else in the body. So joint means the bone connecting with the bone. If the neck is tense and compressed, then it's hard to find release elsewhere in the body. You have all these layers of unnecessary compression. So you're thinking up through your torso, neck is free, head's releasing forward and up. Up we get. And there wasn't as much compression that time. I don't know if you noticed any difference.
No.
Okay, we'll see if you can bring your awareness to your back, to your neck. Thinking about the width across your back. Yeah, virtually no compression that time in the neck and head. Yeah, good, good. Much less compression. Thinking about the width across your back. Yes. About the width across your back. Neck is free. Head's releasing forward and up. So notice getting in and out of the chair is getting a little easier as you kind of decompress a little bit. Are you noticing anything?
Not really.
Okay. About the width across your back. And I'm going to put you on the table.
Yippee.
Let the good times roll.
Woo!
Let them knock you
All
about.
right, but don't try any funny stuff this time.
I'm sorry, last time was just a moment of weakness for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't my true self.
Remember, I'm not one of those, you know.
I just had some crack.
Remember, I'm not one of those 19-year-old Latina women that you've been with.
She was Jewish.
The woman was Jewish?
Yes.
Okay. You changed the sheetings since she was here?
Yeah.
Okay. He changed it. He changed it from being on the thing into being over there.
That's for sure. I take care of my clients.
Yeah, you have
I make
several
sure
sheets.
everyone leaves here with a happy ending.
Do you have a separate sheet for everybody?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I just wash them.
Oh, okay. Okay. But everybody comes with a brand new clean sheet, with a clean sheet.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
So get on here, maybe take your sheet off.
My sheet?
Yeah. Your sheep, the belly.
Ooh. Am I okay? Can I just leave it on?
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Okay, let the good times roll.
Okay. Like this?
Yep.
Okay.
Doing great. Let me do it all.
Can you charge for this? Right, go ahead, do your thing.
Neck is free, head releasing away from the torso.
Okay.
Think about freedom in your neck. Let me do it all.
All right.
Let me do it all. You just
You're in
surrender
control,
your,
man.
just surrender your head.
Come here.
Let the width across your back. Think about your pay is getting longer. Good, didn't help me. Just think about the width across your back. Got your head releasing away from your torso. Just a gentle wish for your spine to lengthen. Think about the length from your right shoulder to your right hip. Think about the length from your right shoulder to your left hip. If you find any unnecessary tightening, holding, compressing, see if you can let it go. Think of the length from your right hip to your left shoulder. Thinking about my own use, the width across my back. Think about the length from your hip to your knee. Just think your knees up to the ceiling. Notice how you're breathing a little more deeply, a little more easily. Keep thinking about freedom in your neck and the head releasing gently away from your torso. Good. As you're thinking that, go ahead and surrender your left leg, your right leg. Allow me to work with it so you don't have to do anything. Just release the leg so it falls out to the side. Just let it fall out to the side. Let it fall out to the side. Yes. Yes. So let me do it all. You
Okay.
just work on letting go of any holding. So see if you can let go. Yeah.
Oh, I don't even realize it.
Yep.
Yep.
See if you can let go. Yep.
Yep. A lot of tension in there.
Yep.
And during the show, I noticed I was crossing my legs a lot over and over and over again. I was conscious of it. I was like, oh, I gotta stop doing that. That's just a tension I have.
Yeah.
I fidget, or it's my form of fidgeting, if you will.
Well, I think it's how you've learned to get through life. That's how you deal with your anxiety, is by tightening and compressing. It's like an armor. You're armored against the world. So like if a stranger was to go up to you on the street and say, hey, Raj, you kind of pull down a bit and you tighten up and you compress, and that's how you deal with, that's how all of us deal with our anxiety and pain and frustration. So it has a physical manifestation, but it starts in the way we think and in the way we feel. And think about the length from your hip to your ankle. under stress, we tend to go into fight or flight, which means the head juts forward, the shoulders start rising high, the head rotates backwards so that the neck is compressed and tightened, and the whole torso shortens and compresses and tightens up. And then many people just get stuck in that fight or flight reflex. So they kind of walk around with their head jutting forward, the shoulders riding up high, the head rotated back onto the spine, compressing the neck. You notice as you just lie here, you're probably letting go just a little bit of some unnecessary compression. And that will affect your mood as well, like your thinking will, and your feeling will become more calm. As your thinking and your feeling becomes more calm, the body will become more calm. So you can never have a negative thought or a thought of fear or anxiety without tightening and compressing. And you can't really tighten and compress without that affecting your mood. So your thinking, your feeling, and your body all work together. They're all constantly affecting each other. Thinking about the width across your back. And then helping, and strong. Just think about the width across your back, across your shoulders. Think about the length from your left shoulder to your left hip. From your hip to your knee. Think about sending direction from your hips to your knees up to the ceiling. And surrender your left leg. So work with it in the identical way, or work with your, see if you can release. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And just think about your neck being free and release. Yes. And release. And release. Yes. Release. Think about your ankle being free. Think about the length from your hip to your ankle.